Oh, welcome to our library studio of the Yahowah vlog. I'm your host, Craig Wen, and this handsome fellow trying to steal the show, that's Wookie. He may make a contribution as we move through the narrative today. We're returning to the last word picture. It is the final Mashal. It is number 31 of Proverbs. It was written to convey, and Rich, we have a cutting problem with Asher here. It was written to describe an exceedingly important meeting. You see, Dode had engaged in some horrific behavior. Dode being David, he, as the chosen one, as the Son of God, as the Messiah and King, had acted very badly. He coveted another man's wife and actually took her, impregnated her, tried to bring the man who was a soldier, a very good man, back from battle so that he could lay with his wife and therefore create the impression that Dode was not the father, give an excuse for the pregnancy, if you will. And when that didn't work because the man would not sleep with his wife while his fellow soldiers were out in the fields in harm's way, Dode schemed to kill him and did. It was a horrible episode in his life, and Dode really had a tough time dealing with what that meant for himself, his people, for Yahowah, and for the world. And so when Nathan came to him and said, this time you really blew it, pal, and shared a story about a covetous man who had virtually everything and yet stole something of great value from a man who had very little, Dode said, well, that man deserves to die. And Nathan said, then Yahowah wants you to know you are that man. So it was really a horrid episode. And Dode and Yahowah were already not on speaking terms. Dode had made some mistakes in judgment that caused God to pull back from his beloved son for a while, and this made it much worse. And this was 14 years before the end of Dode's first life, and from this point on, everything fell apart. His family, his leadership as a father, he became a horrible father, a parent. He became a horrible husband. He became a horrible king. He became a bad prophet. I mean, he just, everything fell apart during this time of separation. And God could have just ended the story there and just racked up to the point that, well, kings are bad. When you concentrate power with people, they abuse it. And Dode did. He became interested in the pleasures of the world. He was drinking too much, sexing too much, and not thinking nearly enough. And so God could have just said, all right, so there you go. Even when I anoint them, even when I give them my spirit, even when I try to guide them, men are men, and they do horrible things. But in this case, God couldn't allow that to happen. And God was actually stymied because he couldn't meet directly with his son in this condition, because it would be out of character for God to have done so. The only solution God had was to do as he had in the past. There was both a man and a woman that God had routinely interjected into his story when things were about to get out of hand, that were deployed by the Almighty to keep his plan on track. And the most important of these in that role is a remarkable woman. She is called at various places the Amma, the most productive of mothers. She is referred to as Ashar, the woman who is blessed and beneficial. She is named Leah, and her life is rather extraordinary as God uses her in these remarkable situations. And so Dode reported in the last Mashal, this final word picture, that he had been visited by this woman who was treating him as her adopted son. He refers to her as his mother. He would refer to her as Yahweh's Amma in many of his psalms thereafter. And she essentially read him the riot act. The man who loved women only for the pleasures they could provide and never got beyond skin deep with women, therefore never fully appreciating what they could contribute, was met by a woman who outwitted him, whose intellect and whose character greatly surpassed his own. And this was quite cathartic for Dode. And she had a lot to say to him. And we have read, studied the first, I think it's 15 or 16 statements that comprise the 31st proverb, and are going to go on now where it becomes even more specific as to who this woman is and what she was trying to resolve. But up to this point, we have her initially trying to garner Dode's attention by asking him if he was aware of who he was. You see, the reason God couldn't allow this to happen this way and for them to stay outside of communication is that Dode was the only one who was prepared and who was capable of fulfilling Pesach, Matzah, and Bakorim. And without the first three, Moed and Mikre, fulfilled as God intended, there was no salvation for humankind. The entire experiment was for naught. There would be no fulfillment of even the last four if the first three were not honored as they had been proclaimed. And Dode, as the Son of God, was the one person qualified to do this. And so this is what we're up against. And that is when his adoptive mother came to him and said, first of all, you need to know who you are. And the reason for that is that there's no one else like you. There's no one else that can fulfill this role. And the entire human experience fails if you don't come to grips with who you are. The next thing she said is that you can't continue to squander this unique responsibility of leadership for another woman. You have plenty of women. God will give you as many women as you want. But the way that you went about taking this one essentially squanders all that is special about you. Then she accused him of drinking and said that, it's not for a leader of your capacity to be drunk on wine. Let those who are already lost, let them be inebriated, because it'll just keep them from acting out on everything that is wrong in their lives. But as for you, you need to sober up, son. And from that point, she talks a lot about, he actually is reporting all of this, but the beautiful apparel that she will make for him and for the women in his life going forward. And the fact that she gave him such sound advice. But in this visit, she was speaking to the whole man, not just the brain. And quite frankly, to reach Dode in the state that he was in, she would have to say, listen, I can curate women for you that will please you, while also giving you the one thing you've never had. So, yes, there's no problem making certain that you are pleased as a man. But you need to also be involved with a woman whom you can confide with, whom you can trust, because that is the greatest and most desirable form of a relationship. So in this particular statement, this next one, as we press forward through the king's redemption, the double entendres are certainly becoming impossible to deny. And while cloaked in the apparatus of making stylish garments as a seamstress, there is obviously more going on here than perfecting fabric. Wouldn't that be true, Miss Leah?
I think it is, yes.
I think it's fairly obvious that that would be the case. Now that Leah has joined us, I'm going to move the microphone over to the other side. It says, she reaches out her hands to the spindle and skillfully to the staff to please. And the palms of her hands grasp and hold the round staff and stick. All right, so that's Mashal word picture, Proverbs 31:19. My guess is that you don't need me to draw you a picture to understand what she was saying. But if you need me to explain, the additional notes would likely be lost on you anyway. But possibly. Again, this is PG. This is a very...
Oh, the work of a spindle, actually, to spin flax. It's a very difficult process.
It is.
The Egyptians perfected it, and Israel was a slave in Egypt for a very long time. Mm-hmm. I think they honed their weaving skills in Egypt. But it is a very delicate process.
Uh-huh. Yes. I know it is delicate. But this should be noted in my wife's honor, as she does want to keep this straight. If I were to combine the prowess of every woman I've ever known, even collectively, they would hold a candle to my brilliant wife, who is quite exceptional in this regard. It is what she senses in me that allows her to conduct herself in a manner that would be similar to conducting an orchestra. And you can actually see her playing her symphony. So she is, quite literally, in a manner of a metaphor, getting Dode's attention and saying, I've been talking to you about recognizing who you are, not forfeiting your leadership, sobering up, appreciating a woman that you can confide in and that is good for you because of her intellect.
What a loving relationship looks like beyond the skin, beyond the parts, beyond the lips, buttocks, and breasts. Women are not parts.
Yeah, I don't think it's beyond. I think it's inclusive.
Yes, going beyond that.
Yes, she is saying that about the parts.
The parts are wonderful. Just don't get stuck on the parts.
Right, the parts are indeed wonderful. And she's saying, yes, there's nothing wrong with
nothing wrong with the parts.
Pleasure.
No.
But you need to know that pleasure can come from someone whom you have an intellectual connection with, someone of character. And so you don't need to forego one for the other.
No, the only prerequisite in this case or any other in the future is the love of Yahweh's name.
I would say that while our relationship for the past 18 years has focused on an intellectual presentation of Torah ideas.
Yeah.
Very early this morning, you came into my office and say, "Oh, you've got to read this. This is really astonishing." What is this was Zechariah 11, I think, was today's.
It's not just 11; it's 9,
we
10,
read
11.
It together in Hebrew this morning and considered the implications, and it is indeed enlightening, and it's going to be important for us to deal with it at some point. So most of our conversations are that way. But our relationship is far more holistic than that. And I think that what Dode's adoptive mother is saying that if you can elevate your game to the point that you focus on a woman who can contribute everything that a man desires and needs to be successful, you're going to be more successful.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to enjoy even the sensual aspects of the relationship more if you can trust and you're comfortable in the presence of a woman that you have more in common with than just pleasure.
Absolutely.
You know, I think most men and women have been in a place one time or another in their lives where they went out and came back home with a pretty or somebody that they thought was handsome, and they engaged in coitus, as they they would say on the Big Bang theory. And the next morning you wake up and you say, oh my goodness, what did I do? Who is this person in my bed? I don't even know them. And you almost want to chew off your arm to say, how did I get myself into this? And how do I get myself out of this? Because I don't even know this person. Now, maybe some of you have never experienced that sort of thing. And I don't really know personally, of course. I'm just hypothetical, of course.
Hypothetically, of course.
Rich, you wouldn't know anything about that, would you?
I'm working on your mic drop right now.
Okay, thank you. So the fact is that when a relationship is one-dimensional, that is not worth the overall investment, and it has very little chance of being meaningful
or rewarding.
Right. So what Leah is presenting here is one aspect of a multidimensional relationship after having already gone through the merits of finding someone whose character and whose aptitude are stimulating and trustworthy.
Well said.
So love is indeed a many splendored thing, one that is beaconing the response to whom the hand is extended. And our role is to model genuine love and commitment within the covenant before the mortal remnant is gathered into the garden. So they're going to be sexual in the millennial Shabbat. They're going to conceive children, and they're going to do so in a way that is enjoyable. God has nothing against sexual pleasure, designed it to be that way. And so they're going to be doing that. And what Leah is encouraging of Dode is, let's model a mature, loving relationship where every aspect of the relationship is of a high caliber and of genuine mutual respect.
If you look at the succession of Dode's marriages, many of them were damsel in distress situations. Finding a woman of quality that is his peer, that is his thinking peer, his intellectual, his musical peer, that would be beneficial for him.
Yes. Yeah, he's going to be a better songwriter and a better singer if he experiences
maybe a better dancer too.
Yeah, the fullness of what it is to love and to be loved in return.
Yes.
So it says, she spreads out her hands to the responsive who are receptive, and she reaches out and extends her hands to the willing and enthusiastic. Proverbs 31:20. Still very similar, that you can read this as that this woman who has been presented as a seamstress, who is now working the spindle to make these fabrics and to weave
and fine
these
linens. It's a lot of you must pay
linen.
attention. So
yes, that she will adorn Dode and the women in his life, and that requires a lot of personal attention if you're going to tailor a garment specifically to someone.
Yeah.
So all of this is couched in language that would be potentially understood as this is the seamstress for evermore. And she will be adorning the king and the king's wife in the future, particularly for their upcoming nuptials. Now, it's true that all but 1 in a million reject Yahowah and his outreach to our fellow man. They know nothing of the Torah, Bereth Moedim, or of Dod. Nonetheless, our job is to extend the invitation, but not compel their reply.
No.
When I first met Leah, then Lisa, 8 years ago, she was a bundle of nerves with anxiety written all over her face. She had lived a full but fairly rough life at times, replete with way too many abusive men, psychotic women as well. She had learned that people can be treacherous, even cruel. But over time, each supportive gesture and affirming word became a healing salve, and the open wounds healed. And while she still shies away from the limelight and attention and prefers the quiet places where she can study and share Torah, it's obvious that she wasn't directed to the final Mashal before she was prepared to handle the implications. And Leah, of course, is now championing a earlier version of the Shabua harvest than the later one. So now that she has seen what Yahowah has in store, that anonymity is no longer in the cards, she's championing the 22 May 2020.
I've always championed the earlier. It was even before
harvest
that.
of Shabua, rather than the one a little over a year from now on the 11th of June 2027. So at least we're far enough along in the process where she knows she's not going to have to endure being in the spotlight for a prolonged period of time, which is more comfortable for her.
Yeah.
And there is this perception, and this is the one that I have fought since Yahowah removed my anonymity 15 years ago. The perception is that someone will claim a special status with God for their own self-aggrandizement, and that it's perceived as the person stepping beyond their rank and trying to pull a claim upon themselves. And I can tell you that anyone who would claim to be a messianic figure or especially anointed by God for some purpose, and well, that they're all insecure, they're craving attention, they're
or mentally ill.
a money grubbing charlatan of some sort, because God's approach is such that if he is going to work with you or through you in this regard, he will make it absolutely known. It's, for example, once our eyes were open to this, we now see the presentation of the Amma and Ashar everywhere, and how the barren woman will conceive the children of the covenant. And so it's overwhelming how many mentions there are of this, just as I had to deal with going from anonymity as Yada into what will be well over 1,000 prophecies pursuant to the role that I have been asked to play. But if you're sincere in your relationship with God, you don't view any of those as an accolade to tout. You view each of them as an additional layer of responsibility. And also the realization that with each pronouncement, you become a bigger target. And that no one who has ever spoken for Yahowah has been well received. They're all attacked. And it's a very difficult position. And when you are asked to do this, you are put in a position where you either accept it and become the subject of attack and people trying to tear you down constantly because they're uncomfortable with that and just love to tear down anyone who God has chosen, or you reject what he is requesting of you, and you fail the creator of the universe. That's a pretty terrible position to be in. So just don't think,
I'd rather face the jackals than disappoint. Yeah.
yeah, that's my view. I'd rather face the jackals and and know
Face the
that
jackals.
that this job does the same thing to me that it did to Moshe, where Moshe just said, God, I can't deal with this anymore. You might as well just kill me. It's an impossible job. Now, I haven't gotten to that point and hopefully won't. But the Dode did the same thing. He burnt out. It's a really, really tough position to be in. If you are aware of Yahowah and you know the people that he has chosen in this regard, just do the best you can to support them. Try to insulate them from attack the best you can, because it is a tough position. But fortunately for Leah, she's not going to have 20 years of this. She will have a much lesser period, and by the time that we return, things are going to be quite different and
quite different.
Yeah. God can, I think, incorporate our work in a different way. The more I study Yahowah, the more I'm convinced that Yahowah is a bit of an introvert.
Possibly.
Yeah, and I know that the more I live in the limelight to do this job, the more I'm prone to return to being an introvert. And Leah, of course, is exceedingly introverted. So those of us who have lived on both sides, knowing what it is like to be a public figure, after enjoying the freedom of anonymity and privacy, realize that if it were not for Yahowah's insistence on full disclosure and complete accountability, the credibility that comes from the conviction of an individual that's willing to take the blows, willing to stand up against the crowd. Because when you speak for God, you are always standing up against the 99.9999% of those who are political and religious. So the last thing we would want to do is to draw attention to ourselves, but God wants to draw attention to them because he wants his people to listen to their message, his message. And of course, it's not our Father's choice for us to be anonymous, just as God doesn't want to be anonymous. He wants the world to see us as role models, and not role models in being prissy and good. That's not what he's interested in. He's looking for us being role models and doing the four things he wanted of Adam that he finally would enjoy with Dode, that I think he is enjoying with us, which is you need to be observant. Observe the Torah and be thoughtful with regard to what you're seeing in the Torah. A second is you need to be responsive so that you engage in the family business, make a contribution to what's important. And then fourth, show that you have staying power, that you have character, that you're willing to acknowledge when you make a mistake and learn from it, grow as a result of it. If you trip and fall, demonstrate to God that you can be trusted by getting up and get going.
Correcting your mistakes.
These are the four things that Yahowah wants modeled. It's the four things he wants expressed during the return to Eden. So this is what our Father wants, because it's proof that we can meet his expectations and we can earn his trust. The journey from one among billions to the spotlight always begins in the same place, with constant and disciplined observation and curiosity. You begin by studying the Torah and prophets, closely examining and carefully considering everything that this world has to offer, but particularly Torah. It's our response then that becomes beneficial as we share what we have discovered and learned along the way, not only for ourselves, but for our God and for future covenant members. So these steps are marvelous, indeed rare, because they are not enough to engender Yahweh's trust. God wants us, needs us to stumble occasionally, to be mistaken, so that we can learn from our errors, get back up, and grow stronger and wiser, more confident as a result. This is how we develop confidence and conviction. It is in the fire of failure that our character is forged, as our metal is strengthened. When we are drawn out and quenched in the vat of his restoring oil, we become strong. It is why God caused the fall in Eden. He knew that out of Eden, we'd be given the chance to trip and fall and learn from our mistakes.
Get a backbone.
Get a backbone. Show some grit. Show that we're interesting, that we're
Resilient.
we're
Reliable.
worth
Accountable.
trusting. And so that is why we're being invited back into the garden, and why we are sharing what we have learned along the way, proving that we've learned our lesson. Well, Leah has. She said, she is no longer intimidated, nor is she afraid of this distinct honor and sign of respect. This is Dode, as the very Son of God, saying this of Leah, the Amma, the Ashar. She is no longer intimidated. She is not afraid of this distinct honor and sign of respect. She's earned it. She's studied her Torah, knows her Torah, and has developed the character to withstand the abuse. In fact, the very fact that you have been so abused by an ex and by a BFF and overcome them, you forged the character that is needed to do this job. You know, I don't think I could have done it if it wasn't for all of the harassment I have received over the years. With each stripe, you just become more resilient. You learn that there is nothing somebody can say about you it's going to make any difference.
First of all, I would have to care what they say.
Mm-hmm. So she is not bothered or distressed over not being highly valued and appreciated, profoundly respected and admired. Call imperfect, third person, feminine singular. This is all feminine singular. For the sake of her family. In other words, she is willing to do this for the sake of her family and home. La Barethe, for her household. And this is one of those really wonderful metaphors that follows. As a snowflake, with water becoming uniquely beautiful and distinct, even from being perceived as icy and cold through an occasional indiscretion, a rash response, or unintentional mistake. Min shileg, from being as white and pure as snow, unique as a snowflake, symbolic of the one cleaning up what that which others have soiled, making it especially beautiful with a covering of snow. From Shal, unintentionally being wrong, making a mistake, being part of an imprudent or rash response, or some indiscretion. Now, it could be a misspelling of Shelah, being at ease and secure in the most favorable situation. Shalah, taken away. Shalah, making requests or asking questions, or even Shalab, being joined together and properly positioned within the frame. Although I think it was Leah that started us off in the right direction with this, because when we were trying to understand the metaphor of snow, your first instinct was, well, isn't a snowflake making water beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
No. Mothers and women are common. Water's common. But snowflakes are always
Unique.
uncommon. So that what I added was every snowflake is unique.
Mm-hmm.
And so to be with God, we must be unique. And it is this relationship that makes us beautiful. And so rather than being ordinary, you can be unique and beautiful, just as is the case with snow. And though you be filthy and dirty, look how pristine a new fallen blanket of snow makes even the most unattractive environment.
Very true.
So marvelous metaphor. God's very good at them. This is because her entire household and family are clothed in crimson when fully grown and mature. So he goes from the whiteness, she goes from the whiteness of snow, the uniqueness of each snowflake, to the realization that a snowflake makes water beautiful, to the fact that her entire household is clothed in crimson when fully grown and mature, in vivid red when their lives are complete. This is Proverb 31:21. So every reference to Leah as a mother of Yahud, to when she was, the original Leah was the mother of Yahud, the Jews, to Yahweh's Amah, and even the blessings and benefits of Ashar. They're all signs of respect, a distinct honor bestowed on a woman devoted to serving her family on behalf of her God. She has earned and deserves our admiration. Dode recognizes it because he is the one issuing this particular decree. So our king, God's beloved son, perceives Leah as his mother. He's grateful to Yahweh for having sent her to him, something that he makes abundantly clear. And for example, in the 116th Mizmor, he says, she is the one who unshackled me from a certain incarceration. And I'm most grateful that you have sent your reasoned and intelligent Amma to me. By restoring his relationship with his father, with Dode, with Yahweh, he can now redeem the entire covenant family. And in so doing, the mother of one becomes the mother of all. And that is a point driven home in the, the 54th chapter, I believe, of Yeshayah, where there is this 10 statements all about one woman and of her being childless and then becoming the mother of the covenant family, and having so many children that we have to enlarge the tabernacle. We have to make copious
the 10 pegs secure.
For them. That so much has to be done because she is so enormously productive and adding to the covenant family. Married to the same fellow, which is that part's encouraging. Yeah. So you weren't able to find a better husband along the way. So it's
no, it's you, babe.
Yeah, it's me. So our king, God's beloved son, is absolutely bought in that Leah is his adopted mother, and he's exceedingly appreciative for Yahweh having sent her because she is the one who reestablishes his relationship. And when our king declared that his mother was ready to be Yara, acknowledged and appreciated for her contributions to the Bereth family, he went on to speak of Sheleg, of snowflakes, stating that the entire Bereth family would be adorned in scarlet when grown and mature. While this might sound like a conflicting metaphor, he was actually publishing an essay on the nature of the Bereth covenant by going from snowflakes to crimson when mature. Now, should you have missed it, well, join the club. I didn't see it until Leah published a post that brought me halfway there. She pictured a snowflake with the caption, "Water made beautiful," to which I added, "Unique and distinct, too. Every snowflake is individual." She, like me, was initially struggling to understand the symbolism of snow in this context, particularly when followed by clothed in scarlet. At the moment of intervention, Dode was a hot mess, stained by a plethora of mistakes. He needed to come clean and reclaim his unique position with God. a remedy conveyed by snow. Every snowflake is exceptional, featuring its own one-of-a-kind composition. And collectively, when snowflakes fall from the heavens and blanket the earth, everything they touch, even the dirtiest and most soiled landscapes, become pristine and white.
Beautiful.
Then, when the sun shines, the snow sparkles, reflecting all facets of light like a sea of diamonds. With his adoptive mother now serving as the Amma of the covenant family, Dode realized that Leah was birthing snowflakes, the souls so unique and special, they are fewer than 1 in a million, set apart as they are each unto Yahowah. Even when purified in white, all become beautiful in Leah's elegant attire, such that they can still be fragile after their birth. If someone stomps on them or grabs them too firmly or permanently tries to yank them away, they can melt and lose everything that had once made them special. So they have to be protected, at least for a while, until they are ready to mature and to be part of something greater than themselves. When this happens, and they do grow, Leah will adorn them in crimson, the crimson revealing their royal status. But also, both Dode, her son, and Baal, her husband, are known for being adorned in red.
They are.
Yahowah later will tell us that the man from Edom is properly attired and he is festooned in red, not only for having coming out of the wine vat, but because he will be sacrificed, as was Dode on a Moedim. So Dode, after conveying the stains of his ineptitude, making him bright and white again, he was prepared to be bathed in scarlet red, finally, depicting his service as the Passover lamb. It's a rite of passage, portrayed as a sojourner in time. More than this, as Yahowah's Amma, productive mother and seamstress, Leah is offering what I once attributed to the Ruach spirit, a garment of luminosity that covers our shame and makes us appear pure as the driven snow. And with the reference to crimson, it is offered in collaboration with her sons and her husband's fulfillment of the Moedim. Boy, a mother of many sorrows. This is how we grow and mature in the covenant family, from the unique fragility and purity of a snowflake to an adult adorned by our King and his mother. Well, to quote the great Dr. Seuss, oh, the things we can think when only we try. And mother, father, husband, and son are nowhere near concluding this lesson. There are more things to think. She makes coverings and fabrics for her of fine linen, in addition to woven wool, yarn, and cloth for her garments. Proverbs 31:22. We're back to this garment of luminosity. We're back to adorning the king to purify his appearance before Yahowah, but also as the one who would fulfill Pesach, and then once again in the royal line, but with the fine textiles of linen, which means she will attire him for fulfilling Yom Kippurim, the Day of Reconciliations, as the high priest in the linen apparel. And of course, he will be wearing garments designed by his mother, Leah, for his wedding, which will take place on Yom Kippurim. She might even weave the chuppah of the tent for the honeymoon celebration come Sukkah. So This is going back to reaffirm that the conclusion that I had made, 18 years ago, that drew us together, that I had rued because of a corruption of it by a bunch of meddlesome and perverted women, was true all along. There really is a garment of luminosity. It is the apparel of our mother, and it is the garment that is going to be worn by all who not only celebrate membership within the covenant family, but also by all who will enter the millennial Shabbat, and that our King will be adorned in such garments, as well as his bride, Yisrael. So there really is a maternal aspect to all of this. And there really is a garment of luminosity. And it is crafted of the finest coverings and fabrics, particularly of fine linen and woven wool yarn. Again, linen and wool, primarily because in this context, she is serving her son, Dod. He will wear wool when he fulfills Passover as the lamb. He will wear linen when he fulfills Yom Kippurim as the returning king and high priest. He will do both. And it is likely that her husband will be adorned in linen. I don't think so much in wool. I don't know if what the hides are to depict his the bullish metaphor, but again, the bullish metaphor that Yahowah uses really is to be symbolic of the man's disposition and character.
Don't stand in his way.
There are three men depicted as animals. Not because they're animals, but because there's a characteristic of each of those animals that is conveyed through their personality that he wants people to know. Dod as the ram, a leader of the flock, but also as one who is as vulnerable as a lamb when enduring Passover. And he wants Dod known as this. There probably is no other animal that would garner people's emotional response to being harmed. And that's the very inference of Zechariah 12, when Yahowah returns with Dod, the one that we pierced, and that we weep for him as an only begotten child.
Yes, but he's also the Lion of Yehuda.
Yes, but he's not depicted as that. It's Yehuda that is depicted as the lion. And Dod is depicted as the ram and the lamb. Now, I don't have any issue with Dod also being depicted because he is Mr. Yehud as a roaring lion, and he will certainly be our king as a roaring, lion, the king of the forest. But he is presented as sympathetic. A lamb is a sympathetic figure, and we need to have compassion for what he did and appreciation for what he did, and be sympathetic of how difficult the job is that he's been asked to do. And a lamb is a flock animal, and you want to be part of that flock. It's
also a quite intelligent flock.
Yes,
animal.
Of course. Yeah, they are, and they're probably the most congenial of all animals in terms of wanting to not only be with their person and to be led and cared for and protected by a person, but also being together among the community. So it's a marvelous way of presenting Dod. And of Eliah, he is presented as the goat, as the woolly goat, because he's a bit raw, and
a little less approachable.
And he's he'll say whatever it comes to mind, and he was like a goat, more independent. And
solitary.
So it shows his independence. It shows his kind of woolly nature as a man, and the fact that he's a nonconformist. Now, as it relates to the last one, the bull, we know about bulls. Bulls have attitude. They're tough. You do not cross a bull unless you want to be gored. Do not stand in their way. Do not expect them to back down.
Do not threaten them.
No, bulls are very protective of the women around them, but of their herd.
And territory.
They're very territorial. So God wanted somebody with a bullish personality, and it's not to create an enduring figure in the bull. It was to demonstrate that somebody could stick it out, that could endure to the end, to continue to be bullish and strong right to the last moment. And, bulls were particularly good around other animals because they always stamped out the intruders, particularly snakes and that sort of thing. And they're not afraid of anything, and they will never back down, ever. Moshe was an amazing man, a great leader, but every time the people revolted against him, he ran and did a faceplant before the tent of the restoring witness. That's not my style,
No.
but that's part of being a bull. You want to take a run at me, I'm going to come right back at you, much harder than you're going to come at me. You'll regret it. I mean, particularly at the end when it's Elia and I, and he's entertaining people with the gift of gab, and I'm just going to run him over. I'm going to be as I have always been, uncompromising in this regard, and never conceding an inch when it comes to that which is important to Yahowah. So, speaking of lessons, I had thought it was among my best mistakes, since it was thoughtful and brought Leah to me long ago, this idea of the garment of luminosity and of a mother's role in conceiving and dressing the covenant family. But even as I tried to soften my conclusions over time, because there was this mother goddess cult that took what I had said and corrupted it to the point that there was God was a hermaphrodite. There was always something reassuring about a spiritual garment of light that I found comforting. And the difference was that when I originally conceived the idea, I needed some way for God to resolve our guilt on matzah. And so I thought, when he asked us to approach the fiery light on matzah, the Isha, which was feminine, that he was encouraging us to be enveloped in this garment of light, something that was mentioned elsewhere. And so that was the means of perfecting us, because our guilt was obliterated by the light. But come to find out, our guilt is obliterated by the darkness. It is Dode carrying our guilt into the black hole of Sheol, so that it is gone and unretrievable and unseen, and therefore unknown, that perfects us as part of the Moed Mikre. So this garment of light is just something that keeps us looking beautiful and attractive before God. It's a nice accoutrement to the story, but it's now a voluntary addition to the story. So what I found comforting in all of this is that, like Dode, we benefit from being cleaned up every now and again, and seen exposed in Yahowah's presence in an attractive way. However, I realized that it was no longer needed after becoming the first to recognize that Dode fulfilled the spring mikre in his second of 3 lives in 33 CE. Once you know this, you know that he removed our guilt, along with his own, of course, on matzah, taking it into Sheol, never to be seen again, which is far better than covering it over with light, with the darkness obscuring, with the light obscuring the darkness. But before realizing this, I had suggested, as I had just shared, that by approaching the feminine fire during matzah, itself a feminine title, that we were being symbolically and spiritually adorned in that light rather than transformed by the fire, something we spent a lot of time speaking about since that time, that we are literally, as physical beings, we are transformed by this fire, such that our soul is enveloped in light and energy, making us so much greater than we would be otherwise, and releasing us to eternity and being able to explore the universe with Yahowah. That's the very transition that Yahowah is trying to postpone until such time as we demonstrate that he can trust us, which is the whole purpose of this meeting. and that idea replaces our physical bodies with light and energy. Here during the millennial Shabbat, you're adorning physical bodies with this beautiful garment. And yet now, after all this time, the woman who was brought to me because of my fascination with the feminine nature and redemptive apparel of Yahowah is being credited by our king of actually making it. And while as bright and white as snow and as visible and pronounced as scarlet to the eye, the wardrobe she is making for herself and for her husband, as well as for her children, and the king's wife, is crafted not only of fine linen, but also of wool. And this, as it should be, since Dowd redeemed the covenant family as the Passover lamb, and he will reconcile Yisrael on Kippurim, dressed in the fine linen of the high priest when anointing the Kipporeth, which is the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant. Now, beyond this, Leah and I suspect that there will be 2 weddings on Kippurim. Dowd to his bride, the chosen of Yisrael, and Leah to me. And she and her curated bride for Dowd will all be dressed appropriately in fine linen. Now, I think you want to make the bride's garments of starlight, but maybe
Perhaps.
that'll be tough to make on your loom, but we'll see how that works out.
Maybe silicone linen. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. So Leah's making us all presentable before Yahowah. We're going to be comfortable exposed in his presence because we're going to look stunning. And she is doing so not only because we must feel comfortable exposed to God, and we must come to embrace our royal status with God, but she is also dressing us for success. Last time Yahowah appeared before the children of Yisrael, they were so uncomfortable, they told our Heavenly Father to shut up and go away. But on Kippurim, the opposite must occur for God to open Eden's gates on Sukkah and allow the Israelites back in. He's going to appear before that mortal remnant on Kippurim, and there's not going to be a Sukkah entrant 5 days later that tells God to shut up and go away. So I'm hoping that our new duds keep us better aligned with Yahowah's intent. So one of the many reasons that I recognize that this mother, who is depicted elsewhere as Yahowah's Amma, the Ashar is Leah, my wife, is that Dowd unequivocally affirms that I am her husband.
Yep.
I am a lucky man. I don't think luck had anything to do with it, but
I tried to square him out of it, but he deadpan named me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. And me as well. But here it is.
Yeah.
Her husband, Baal, her Lord and Master, is known and respected as Yada.
Yada.
Is revealed, acknowledged, and understood as Yada, one who knows. It was in the Nifl participle. Masculine singular absolute, with Yada serving as an actionable and descriptive title by which he is recognized.
There it is, kids.
Every time that Yahowah wants an actionable title, it is written in the infinitive or the participle. In the participle, it means that this is something that becomes known and declared at a particular moment in time, where in the infinitive, this is something that is disclosed over a long period of time. In this particular case, the world is coming to know at this particular time, and will find it absolutely overwhelming come Yom Kippurim.
Yes, they will.
That her husband, Baal, her Lord and Master, is known and respected as Yada, within the inner sanctum of the thoughtful assembly. Within, he himself dwells, sits, and remains established with the authorized elders and prominent leaders of the land and material realm. Mashal word picture, Proverb 31:23. Well, there's no running for that, love.
Go. Mhm.
Your husband is known and respected as Yada.
That's
It also says that you have a somewhat submissive marriage, and that
You don't have any extra wives hiding around here, do you?
no, no, I left the only other one about a year before I met you for the first time.
Okay.
Nope, you would be it.
That's it. Just me. Okay.
Yep. And the term Baal is one that oh boy I struggled with, because Baal is identified with the prophets of Baal when Eliah goes against the religious establishment of Israel. Now, what's also interesting, he went against the prophets of Baal and
Asherah.
And what does Dode call you in this Mizmor?
Ashar.
Ashar. Same basis, same word.
Mm-hmm.
And so what Dode is saying here is that while misused, Baal, lording over people, is something that Satan craved, and therefore the prophets of Satan, as the Lord and Master of the world, craves that title, corrupts the title.
First thing he corrupted.
Yeah, he corrupted the title that Yahowah had intended for good, because a strong husband with a wife who is a bit submissive in that relationship, supportive in that relationship, is what he considers to be the ideal marriage that creates the best possible result. And what he is saying in this, and by the same thing is true with Asherah. The reason Satan coveted the Asherah title is it means blessed, beneficial, the one who shows the way to the benefits of the relationship, who knows the way to get the most joy out of life. And so it was something that Satan solicited. And you don't have Eliah actually attacking the title Baal or Ashar.
No.
But of the religious pundits,
the ones who spoke for them,
who claimed to speak for them. So that's what was deadly. And it was Satan who does what Satan does. He corrupted those titles. But both of them appear here, and they appear here as very positive things. Now, it's always difficult to speak of a marriage where the husband is considered Baal. That means he is the one to whom his wife submits as a marriage partner. And he is in the more authoritarian position in that relationship.
Oh, honey, when you walk into a room, everyone knows. You just carry this weight with you. You have a weighty presence.
Yeah. It is.
And a booming voice.
Yeah,
it carries authority.
When we're working for Yahowah, he wants us to project a shazak, strength, firmness, grit, toughness, resolve. When he speaks of his son, Dode, he speaks of him at his very best moments as Gabor, courageous and confident. And so Shazak and Gabor are what God's looking for in men. He does not want a man to be meek and humble. He has no use for men who are
neither do
meek
I
and humble. And strong women don't either. Strong women want stronger men. And the only kind of woman whom you can confide in, which was your advice, and respect for their intelligence, for being bright and beautiful, are women who know their strength, know what they are contributing, and for someone who has that much to offer, being willing to, not just willing, wanting to engage in a relationship with a man who is going to be stronger still, is not only a sign of respect, it's more important, it's a sign of trust. And it's also, it puts the woman in a position where she can relax and know, I can contribute everything to this relationship without ever being concerned for my own safety or life or my own prestige or honor.
Mhm.
That a man who is fulfilling the role of a husband as a Baal is going to be bullish towards his wife. He is going to absolutely protect her and create the environment where she can be all she wants to be. And it fits right back into what God said when he was creating Yahowah for Adam, the first woman with an asalma for a man with an asalma. This is going to work best if you guys work together.
Mhm.
And she's supportive of what you're trying to achieve. There are several women that God used and spoke through in a mighty way. Ruth, Deborah, Chana, Sarah are all examples of that. But all of them had a very strong man in their lives. And the one that God asked you to go inquire about, her man was so strong, his name was Strong.
Exactly.
He was
He's
Boaz.
named as Strong.
Yeah, it was Boaz. It means with strength. So
And Job speaks about this Amma
yes.
as being strong, Oz, right?
So would you say that Ruth was a strong woman?
Absolutely.
And she said, she said, here I am announcing who I am. She first thing she said when Boaz asked her who she was before they were even knew each other, she says, I am your Amma. I am your productive mother, baby. And I'm going to deliver the kinsman redeemer, the Baal, to you.
Yes.
And I know you're Boaz.
Yes.
You're with strength.
Yeah.
You're going to be one of the two columns on the Dagon temple.
Yeah.
When it's
Yeah.
yeah.
So my cryptic Facebook post, I know who is Boaz.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There it
you
is,
know who is
kids.
Boaz.
Now you do too.
Yeah.
But I think that, if I may,
Mhm.
a strong woman, intelligent woman, a woman that is highly intelligent and on her game, she won't. Women are strong, but she won't lend her strength to that which is immoral, wrong, or mean, cruel.
Yeah.
And a lot of men take advantage of women in this way.
You're in your business career, you had to manifest strength.
Yes.
And it finally wore you out because there's so many people taking jabs at you and a woman constantly trying to protect herself and her turf.
Mhm.
It's exceedingly draining on a woman.
It is.
A man has a little more stamina in this regard. And I know we're all have the same value to Yahowah, but we have different attributes. And a man has a bit more stamina in this regard
Absolutely.
than does a woman when constantly attacked. So it wore thin. In fact, you finally gave up fashion just because
I sold the company.
it was just too much being attacked all the time. Having somebody as a protector would have been
Very nice.
a marvelous thing. And then when after being a runaway bride, I don't know if it was 5 or 6 times, but it was a lot. Can you confirm it was 5 or 6?
It was 6.
6 times.
Yeah.
Okay. 6. Okay. After being a runaway bride for 6 times, you married poorly.
I did.
Yeah.
Very poorly.
Your ex was he was
on paper it all looked good.
Yeah. Your ex was submissive.
Yes.
And so you had to play
I had to be the strong one.
You had to be the strong one because he was insecure and submissive.
Yes.
And was uncomfortable, wasn't it?
Very.
It's a difficult relationship for a strong woman to be in a position where she has to be stronger than the man that she's with.
It wears on you.
Yeah, it wears on you. It's one of the things when we first got together and we began to talk about the various roles that we can play and how we contribute to one another, you immediately says, I want to do that. I really want to do that. That fits.
I just want to be a girl. Yeah.
Oh, I just want to be a
I want
girl.
to stop being the man.
Oh God, can I? Why don't you play the man and I'll play the girl? And we'll
That life
we'll
is
get
good.
along
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to this. I know it's difficult in today's world to talk openly about, but we're not afraid of being judged. We're judged for a lot of other things. So why not this? But that's what Baal infers. Her husband, Baal, serving as her lord, as her marriage partner, who is in an authoritative, strong position, is known and respected
As Yada.
as Yada. He is revealed and acknowledged, understood as Yada. Within the inner sanctum of the thoughtful assembly, Baha Sha'ar, inside the doorway, inside the gates and the portal of the enclosed community of the rational group of related people, from Sha'ar, within the community of those who think and reason. God invented the language, so he makes it work on all possible ways, right? Within, he himself dwells, sits, and remains established. So this whole story has been about Dod's adoptive mother, the M, who we now know is, from Dod's own confession, is the Amma, who permeates the Torah and prophets as the productive mother, and who is really extolled in Yeshaya 54 and the contribution she makes to the covenant family. And yet we have a moment where Dod is acknowledging that she does not work alone. That is what he's saying here, is that this mother is married.
To Baal.
Now that's big for Dod to say, because he covets everybody. And a woman that comes to him and his little brain is well, not with the little brain.
How can I make her mine?
It's the little brain that Dod had the problem with. And here he's saying, I respect her for being married. I now know her husband.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband is Yada,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't mess with Yada. He's a damn bull. And so he is explaining here, I get it. She is married. Her husband is Yada, and Yada's a damn bull. So, okay. And Yada is now positioned forevermore within the inner sanctum of the thoughtful assembly. Dod's king of that assembly, going to be now, wouldn't have been had this meeting not taken place. But it says he himself dwells, sits, and remains established, not just for a while, forever established with the authorized elders and prominent leaders.
What did you think? You're his herald. Where'd you think you were going to sit?
Well, I mean, it wasn't really. I was actually looking for a retirement, but
not likely.
I wanted to enjoy a long Shabbat, but we're gonna listen. It's like Moshe before me and Dod. It's taxing, and you go to bed at the end of every day saying,
"Wow,
that
what a day!
God, I'm committed to seeing this through, but I really would like a vacation."
Yes,
and you count the days to vacation because while you love what you do, and today translating and commenting was really marvelous and rewarding, and my time with my wife over these last few days, as we've come to this realization, has been wonderful and rewarding. You still say,
it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot, God.
It's a lot of brain computation.
Right. And so we do, if we fantasize now, we're fantasizing over getting away, just the two of us. And
yes.
Saying we'd like a moment. Put a little do not disturb
I
sign.
found a beautiful house in Sun Valley.
Yeah, beautiful do not disturb sign on the door. And we may have a number of houses by that time, so y'all don't know where we are.
Yeah,
Don't come knocking right away. And we're No, we're not really kidding. But anyway, I wish we were. No, I don't wish we were kidding. It's the reality of this whole thing. But so here Dode is saying, okay, this was the most marvelous, intellectually stimulating visit he's ever had, and it's by a woman, but she did not operate alone.
Mhm.
And he is not only acknowledging this woman is married to Yada, and that Yada is amongst the most established and authorized of all of the elders and leaders in his community, that he is obviously going to need to have a positive relationship with for a long time. But Leah was not the only person to meet with him. I am convinced, and may prove, if not, I will just conclude based upon the inspiration I've been given in this regard, that, well, Leah was the one who set him straight and got his attention. I think I was the one who figured out exactly what he needed to do in terms of Pesach, Matzah, and Bakodim. And I would not be surprised if, following Leah's meeting, I sat him down and said, we're going to go through the Torah together, you and I. And I'm going to point out, which is what I'm doing right now in this book that I'm writing. I'm going to point out every time you and I are mentioned, and how our role was established in the fourth day of creation and reestablished in the garden, and then reestablished when Moshe faltered, getting the Israelites into the land, and how it has been reinforced in Numbers 15, and the various roles that we play in the end. And then, so I think that was my role. Like, your role was to get him to grow a conscience and character, and begin thinking with the big head, and to view women quite differently and more completely, and respect women for their intellect, and which is all necessary if you're going to be head of the family, right?
Yep.
And mine was to convince him of his calling.
Do the right thing, yeah.
And say, this is what you're going to do. And that after that, he began to write about these things and the role that he was going to play, and cherished that opportunity. So this does say that Yada is going to be playing a prominent role heretofore, and I get two things. One is I get Leah as my eternal bride. That's really cool. So my gift from God goes on forever. No one could have a better bride than I have. I have the world's, I mean, I know everybody that loves their wife or their girlfriend thinks they have the best in the world, but the fact of the matter is I do. And, and as a gift from Yah, it should be that way. God's not chintzy in this regard. So intellectually and all other ways, I have the best wife in the world, and she gets to be my wife forevermore. Now, there is responsibility that goes with that, and I hope I'm up to the task in this regard. But God seems to think that we're going to be married forever, and that we are going to be positioned in a very influential place in Dode's life and in Yisrael's life and in the covenant family for a very long time. So this is now the second of three times in the final word picture that Dode refers to his mother's husband, as Baal. And here he is known and introduced and affirmed as Yada, using the participle. This is made evidence by that participle, which as a verbal noun serves as the actionable title, Yada, one who knows. That's rather specific. And that
a
was
little bit.
my nom de plume for the initial decade of our collaboration. And it is incorporated into the title of every book that we have written along the way. It is always Yada,
Mhm.
Yahowah. So this affirms that the place where I will be, Yada, acknowledged as such, is Ba-ha-Sha'ar, within the inner sanctum of the thoughtful assembly. That means that everybody who is part of the covenant going forward will
Mhm.
have thunk themselves into that position. You come to know God up here. That's the point Leah has been making through to Dode from the beginning.
Think your way through. Mhm.
This is inside the door that Dode opened on Pesach for the covenant family to life. It is also apparent, based upon the king's prophetic pronouncement, that known as both Baal and Yada, that I will Yeshab, dwell and remain among the Zakan, the elders of the material realm. So while this is Leah's story, she did not happen upon it alone. The Amma has a Baal named Yada, and he has an interesting role to play in Yahweh's story too.
Indeed.
As I have shared, ours is an arranged marriage. It's true.
Yes.
Yeah, but there is no way around that.
I know.
Yeah, yeah.
I was so against anything of remotely of that kind, but yeah, it is. It's an arranged
Yeah.
marriage.
Yahowah sent her to me 18 years ago by email letter,
Hmm.
asking the same question. So who do you think you are?
Yep.
And as you recall, but it's still
And why are you doing what you're doing? Yes.
Yep. She was searching for Yahowah, and God told her at the time that she would find what she was seeking if she went to ask Ruth.
Yep. Go ask Ruth.
Yeah, she did. Now,
18-year quest. Go
What?
ask 18-year quest. Go ask Ruth.
I'm looking forward, because it is such an interesting episode with Ruth,
Mhm.
to beginning our next program with this.
Mhm.
So we're going to take a break. We'll do another round of the last word picture, the final Mashal, tomorrow.
Okay.
And we'll resume with what Leah would have read when Yahowah told her to go ask Ruth, and how that takes us right back to where we are and everything we have just read.
Mhm.
So thank you so much, Master of the Cables. I appreciate your contribution when asked as you punted the ball earlier. I think I would have done the same thing. We look forward to being with you. Both will do another episode tomorrow, perhaps in the Rainbow Studio, perhaps the Ocean Studio, followed by one here again in our library studio, in the pursuit of our understanding of the last word picture. Good day.